Resume. I want to invite our four presenters for them to respond to your questions.
Thank
you for your kind attention. It is a pleasure to be with you. And now we have the question session and discussion session. A simple question. You spoke a lot about international foundations, but somehow all their stock capitals are nominated in US dollars. Wouldn't you agree that if we speak about a certain independent economic system, what do we need dollars for? If we do everything in dollars, we would be hardly out of control of the Federal Reserve System of the United States, and then not we would define what we would construct. What do you think? Thank you. This is an interesting question, and I think that we now reflect both China and Russia, and India as well, and other BRIC countries. They're intending to have mutual clearances in their international trade with their own national currencies. But I think that the paper as a measurement, US dollar is like a unit. This is just a fashionable form of conventional unit. So at this stage we are using this unit. But we do not make it a real payment method. Between China and Russia we are currently have many financial transactions with our own currencies, both yuans and rubles. In Shanghai and in Moscow, the currency stock exchanges are trading our national currencies. I think this is a good sign. So we do it in direct exchange. Another question to all Chinese participants. You have said about programs of development. I wouldn't even argue what are these programs. I want to say the following. The source of the resource for these programs is the product that is produced by China and sold for dollars. In other words, the source of the development today for China is foremost the dollar demand. I have never in any of the reports have heard what can happen if in the result of an economic crisis the dollar's demand would sharply decrease. I would like to understand, is this theme somehow reflected in Chinese strategic programs like Silk Road and others? Please. Very complicated question you ask, mister. how to say, the volume of Chinese economy is now second in the world. Maybe first. Don't be modest. If you take an artificial financial component, you are the first one. No, I don't think so. Yet. This large volume of Chinese economy, and US has a concern that China is gaining upper hand and will come ahead of the United States. So they want to contain Chinese growth, particularly not only in politics, but also in defense and security spheres, in the field of economic development. Trans-Pacific GDP, the zone of free trade, is also under this sanctions, so to say, working without inviting China, without inviting Russia to the Pacific Rim programs. So in terms of economics, US is not only isolating Russia, it is also isolating China, though we do not do anything to be sanction imposed. I'm speaking now not about the American policy. Of course, to the degree of their capacity, they try to limit you. But nonetheless, they buy from China an enormous volume of services and commodities. And this volume is objectively fueling China development. In the coming 2-3 years, the US will see rapid decrease of demand. Today, $3 trillion per year is the volume of donations for upkeeping the demand. They cannot do it forever. If there would be a drop down, the financial flows would be shrinking. I asked this question many times. I'm an economist, so I try to see the figures. But I never could get an answer how Chinese programs of development would be adapting to such a sharp shrinkage of resources. I think this is an important question. Yeah, it's a complicated question. Hard to answer it. We think about it, but it's very difficult. So it's hard to find a ready-made answer. One more question related to the project of the new Silk Road. All that has been written and said is primarily, and today we heard it again, is about economics, Zindidai. But at the same time, at our forum, we have mottos: prevent the war. Silk Road is beyond Xinjiang and what had been Western region is Turkestan. And Xinjiang itself is fraught with triple evil of extremism, separatism, terrorism, and nationalism. And if these three evils on the Silk Road ways would be increasing, would be flourishing, then the plans, investment plans and other logistic transport plans, they would fail. They would be undermined. Therefore, my question, when China will speak about cultural component of the new Silk Road, will speak about harmony of peace on the Silk Road, because the way you presented history in your report, and we remember from history that the greatest increase of Silk Road was under Emperor Taizun, who was the son of Haven, the son of yellow people and of Khagans of the Great Steppe. Is there any plan how to combine new Silk Road with new Turkestan in humanitarian values, in the way of harmony of the world? Or this will be undermined by the above-mentioned three evils? This is a very interesting question. Thank you for that, for your knowledge of Chinese history. China is precisely the country that has direct attitude towards Silk Road. In Chinese regions inside, see the Silk Road routes, the economic belt around the Silk Route is at the same time a political platform for the countries that surround this great Silk Road. Mutual cooperation, reinforcement of contacts, improvement of infrastructure can guarantee security and safety of certain countries that stay along the Silk Road. As far as the three forces, we have to pay attention, because this is a containing factor. Shanghai Organization of Cooperation. These countries on different levels are debating these issues. They are discussing the question of separatism and extremism. So the existence of three forces on the Shanghai Regional Organization is an issue that is related to your and to three countries. They have a relation to the Silk Road. Each country is representing one purpose: security, mutual security. When security is high on one level, this assists development of neighboring countries and the development of partners. The idea of the Silk Road is concentrated on economy, not on culture. we stemmed from the fact terrorism is being born. That is the most important questions. Economy, when it is not developed and people do not have job, then they are lured by terrorism. So we have to resolve first economic issues. Hence, in order to develop the economy in this region of the Silk Way, we are going to help these districts with our economic programs, in particular the program of Silk Way. So economy in the region has been expanding very fast. So that will take away roots of terrorism. I think when you ask me whether Silk Way is possible, I would call this just a Chinese initiative. It is an initiative directed at cooperation with surrounding countries. But if you surrounding countries do not want that, what will happen then? Therefore we, if we want, economically, we have to look into negotiation process. We have to build up what is viable for the countries that are on the Silk Road way. We have found, for instance, points of understanding an economical belt with Russian Trans-Eurasian belt of development. We have found that, and this is a good sign. And in the future we will do that same thing with Kazakhstan, where they have a strategy of Silk Way of Kazakh Republic. This is also a major project. It's an economic project. We can join them. Why not? Considering that time is petering out, I would like to suggest you to have a cup of coffee, and then after coffee break we will continue listening to our keynote speakers. Silk Way, New Silk Way, is a global project that demands time, effort, and dedication to be developed, which requires contacts with interested countries. All of them. We will coordinate our activities. We will unite the model of our cooperation, and I hope that will bring us to success. What we discuss is now just a project, but we have to advance it to a practical program. So when we translate idea into practice, then we will find many, many interesting opportunities to address and obstacles to overcome. This is how the platform of a new Silk Way can be built, which involves multilateral cooperation. That is why the project is global. The problems are multiple. For instance, countries in the hinterland of Silk Route, their economies is not in the best shape. And scholars saw the correlation between the location of country, its economic development, and the attempts to confront the Silk Road project. So we understand that we have to define at the very beginning the reasons, the possibility of future possible problems and conflicts, and to resolve these problems, to nip them at the bud, if you want. For instance, we have to take into account what projects are primarily to be launched in Central Asia. Shall we start with oil processing, or perhaps transport infrastructure, or perhaps we should invest in housing and cultural facilities? It depends to be practically determined. We want to maximum speedily set up a new platform as a new Silk Road. And we understand that this project is ambiguous, it will take time to resolve all the issues. And our leaders, when they suggested the idea of new Silk Road, were in favor of the openness in the framework of the space of Silk Road. The key principles here is the idea of openness. It should not be closed Silk Road. So we need cooperation who want to get involved, who want to benefit from the Silk Road economic potential, and Central Asian part of these countries would definitely profit and benefit with the economic relations with China and European Union. So in the middle of the Silk Road, we will have positive trends in economic development of the indigenous countries. Now we can relax with coffee break and come back soon to our discussions. We have many questions in front of us.